let's jump right in. For centuries, we've kind of just accepted that humanity is at the absolute mercy of the elements, right? Well, a really compelling new wave of environmental data suggests something entirely different. We actually have a tremendous amount of agency over extreme global events. In this explainer, we're unpacking the critical and honestly fascinating intersection of natural disasters and ecological conservation. As you'll see, protecting our environment isn't just about saving trees. It's quite literally our most advanced defense mechanism.
So this really challenges our baseline assumptions. I mean, we usually hear the phrase natural disaster and immediately think of floods, hurricanes, or wildfires as inevitable, chaotic acts of the earth that just happen to us. But looking at the science forces us to ask a pretty difficult question. Are these events actually purely natural anymore? Or is the human fingerprint driving the destruction?
The distinction really comes down to multipliers. Look, obviously the initiation is natural. We definitely can't stop tectonic plates from shifting or ocean currents from generating huge storm systems. However, the severity and the frequency of these hazards, those are now heavily dictated by human activity. We are basically the multiplier effect that turns a natural hazard into a full-blown disaster. The cause and effect loop here is just undeniable. For instance, when we clear-cut forests, we destroy these incredibly complex root matrices that directly degrades soil stability, and boom, you trigger massive landslides. Or think about wetlands. Paving over them eliminates our crucial natural sponges, pretty much guaranteeing that subsequent floodwaters have absolutely nowhere to go but straight into our streets. By continuously pushing urban sprawl into known floodplains, we're essentially engineering our own vulnerability.
Grounding this in objective data, the 2021 Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change leaves absolutely no room for ambiguity. Human-induced climate change driven by greenhouse gas emissions is actively escalating the intensity of global extreme weather. We aren't just seeing occasional weird anomalies anymore. The entire baseline for rainfall, cyclone intensity, and drought has literally shifted.
Section 1, Nature's Defense Mechanisms, 30 to 50%. Now, in the highly calculated world of risk mitigation and disaster management, fighting for even a 1 or 2% reduction in damage is considered a monumental engineering victory. So finding a single mechanism that yields a 30 to 50% reduction, that isn't just a minor improvement, it's an absolute paradigm shift in how we survive. According to a 2019 study in Environmental Research Letters, that massive reduction represents the exact difference between forested and deforested regions during major flood events. You see, a preserved forest isn't just passive nature. Its root systems act as this advanced subterranean infrastructure that stabilizes soil and controls surface runoff. By simply leaving those trees in the ground, we can mitigate up to half the potential flood damage. How incredible is that? And here is 50% again. We actually see this exact same level of extraordinary biological engineering translating right from our inland forests out to the edges of our oceans, protecting our most vulnerable population centers. Based on research by Alongi, conserving mangroves along tropical coastlines reduces storm surge damage by up to 50%. Picture this: when a massive cyclone pushes a wall of water ashore, a healthy mangrove forest acts as a dense, biological shock absorber. It breaks the waves and just dissipates the kinetic energy, effectively cutting the storm's destructive power in half long before it ever reaches human infrastructure. It's like a giant natural shield. Of course, building a comprehensive shield requires integrating these natural defenses with active, evidence-based mitigation. First, it starts with slashing greenhouse gas emissions to slow the baseline warming that supercharges these storms in the first place. Next, we have to implement sustainable urban planning, meaning actually respecting hazard maps and weaving permeable green spaces into our concrete grids. Finally, rethinking our agriculture. Things like contour farming and cover cropping prevent the mass soil erosion that really accelerates droughts and landslides. Section 2, Global Success Stories. We're already seeing nations successfully weaponize environmental management to save lives, and the results are amazing. Facing existential flooding, the Netherlands isn't just blindly pouring higher concrete walls, they're actually coupling advanced dikes with massive wetland restoration to give floodwaters a place to safely disperse. Over in Japan, they combat rain-induced mountain landslides by strictly integrating forest management with traditional terracing to lock their soil in place. And in India, community-led mangrove restoration is acting as the primary and highly effective frontline defense against deadly coastal cyclones. Section 3, Taking Local Action. Now, you might be thinking this is all high-level government stuff, but you really don't need a national budget to engineer resilience. By multiplying small, proactive habits, we drastically enhance our collective safety. Restoring local tree canopies directly repairs neighborhood water cycles. Conserving energy chips away at the macro-level climate drivers. And honestly, simply building community preparedness networks ensures that if a localized ecosystem buffer is ever breached, the neighborhood knows exactly how to respond. That ultimately saves billions in damages and, most importantly, protects human life.
So, the ultimate takeaway from this explainer is a simple, non-negotiable equation. Environmental conservation is absolutely not a luxury, it is literal disaster prevention. A healthy ecosystem is a stronger, safer community. By treating nature as critical infrastructure, we build genuine, lasting resilience.
I'll leave you with this thought to consider as you step back into your own community today. We have the data, we have the historical proof, and we have the strategic blueprint. If nature has already engineered the ultimate defense mechanisms for our survival, what will you help build today? Thanks for exploring this with me, and stay curious.